The questions you've all been asking are now being answered. Welcome to another edition of It's All About Who You Know, where influential people talk about sports, faith, and more. Your host is a former Oregon State wrestler, an MMA fighter, and a wrestling coach. Brought to you from Las Vegas, Nevada, here's your host, Christian Robertson.
Recording? Okay. Oh, you did that. All right.
We're recording. We're doing it. We're
we live?
We're in it. No. Are we?
All right. That's
Are
good.
we live? I'm asking my editor or my producer right now. He's not giving me an answer.
Is that Francis? Yeah, Miss Francis.
Who's Francis?
That should be your producer's name, bro. Your sound engineer, Francis.
He should be my producer's name. So how you been, bro? Does your screen have tracking? Is that what's going on right now?
I don't know. Dude, here's the thing that you have to know about. I'm not, in the famous words of Michael Scott, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious, right? So anytime I get around technology, it just stops doing what it should.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's, I say this to you all the time, and it still doesn't and I think you could probably know where I'm going with this, but it's demonic.
I thought you were going to say I had an extra chromosome or something. I mean, I'm like, that's possible too, but.
No, yeah. I've been told that that's not a nice thing to say to people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Nobody, but you know what the funny thing is? Nobody with an extra chromosome has ever been offended that I said that to them. It's always people around them or people that don't even know them.
With extra chromosomes? You bully?
What am I supposed to do? Just let them go around thinking they got normal amounts of chromosomes? It's horrible. Speaking of chromosomes, ask me why I can't drink coffee anymore. I'm going to make you feel like a real piece of crap.
That's a random question to ask.
It's not a random question. We had a conversation about this earlier, and you were like, why can't you drink coffee? I was like, ask me on the podcast.
So, Christian, why can't you drink coffee?
Wow. What a question I was not expecting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why I can't drink coffee. And this is actually kind of sad, but I'm going to make humor out of it. Dude, I've been having heart issues since my fight. Like legit, like shortness of breath, heart pain, chest pain, and I don't know what's going on. I've seen a cardiologist and I'm about to see a pulmonologist, but caffeine and like coffee just triggers it. And I had like multiple situations where I would have caffeine and then like I thought I was going to pass out because I just couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
So it's really weird. I don't know I think we talked about this the other day, but I don't think I said that caffeine was triggering it. But like the other day I had a cup of coffee and I just for like 3 hours.
Damn.
Super weird.
So have they what do the cardiologists say? Do they say anything that like any parts of your heart that might be getting messed up?
Well, I just got all my tests done, so I haven't had my follow-up yet, and my cardiologist is going out of town. So I have like I have a meeting tomorrow, or not a meeting, an appointment tomorrow with like a primary care doctor to get some tests done on my lungs and my chest. So I don't know, really weird.
So basically, what you're saying is you have a weak heart.
I don't know. Maybe it's so strong.
Nah, I can't be it.
They say, come on, man, just give me something. They say that giants don't live very long because their hearts are so big. Just like,
yeah. Heart's a crazy thing. It's complicated.
Yeah. So did you see the second Dune movie or what?
No, dude, I ain't even seen it yet.
Why are you? Don't relax. This is engaged. Get in the conversation like a normal person.
Dude, I'm here. I'm engaged, bro. I was gonna go see it last night, but I went to Olive Garden instead. So.
Oh, you know how that goes. I'm not gonna lie. You maybe didn't make. Well, no. Olive Garden's. This is a once in a generation movie. Olive Garden is like once in a week.
It's one of those. You know what? You're right. I probably got to see it in theaters.
Did you? Let me ask you this. This is the true test of whether or not your Olive Garden experience is worth it. Did you get breadsticks and Alfredo?
I didn't get Alfredo. I mix it up. I usually do, but I got breadsticks. And dude, I was feeling nostalgic Well, first of all, I got an appetizer, which was pretty good. It was like some fried stuff, like a mixture of like fried shrimp and vegetables, and then I got spaghetti and meatballs like a little kid. It was good though, dude.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, you know,
What kind of
I texted my girl. I was like, "Yo, you trying to go to Olive Garden?" I was like, "Let me take you out." She was like, "Okay."
what kind of 27-year-old man gets spaghetti and meatballs?
The happy one.
I will say this, spaghetti and meatballs is one thing that I like won't get if I go out. I'm just like, I'm not gonna get that. I can literally make that just as high quality at home. I've never been like, oh my gosh, this is like such good spaghetti and meatballs.
Solid point. I'll think about that next time I go to Olive Garden. But I mean, it was a little bit cheaper than the other stuff. It's not by
Oh, so it's
much.
a
But...
so it's a money thing. So you're just loser.
Oh, so broke. I know. It's terrible. Dude, no. Speaking of stuff to watch, have you seen Shogun?
No, is it good?
It's good. It's good. Apparently, me and my girl were watching it, and we're kind of a little bummed though. Apparently, it's only a mini series. Like they only have so many episodes. And like,
Huh.
oh man, we thought this was gonna be like a multi-season thing.
Oh, it's only one
And
series or one season?
I think it's a mini series. Yeah,
Oh wow.
that's I could be wrong, but yeah, but it's pretty good. You have to read it. It's in subtitles, so it's in Japanese.
I could just
Uh,
learn Japanese.
you could, yeah.
Seems like a
It's
way easier solution than freaking reading.
yeah, it's pretty hardcore though. Pretty cool. Feudal Japan, you know.
You
They
know
got,
what you know what I started
uh,
listening. So what is it? Just is it just like a samurai?
yeah, pretty much samurai. But there's this dude, John Blackthorne. You know, he's basically like a pirate, and it talks a lot about the Catholic and Protestant rivalry, and
Ooh.
he's like English Protestant, and he's beefing with the Catholic Portuguese, and he's like, "You Catholic bastards, I follow the true religion," or something like that. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, it was hard.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Huh.
yeah.
You know what? I started listening to The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, really? So, you know, us adults read it, but I mean, I'm glad that you're getting into things. You know, baby steps: crawl, walk, run. Sure, it's a crawl.
Listen, jackass. So this is what I do. This is my process. I can't read
Okay.
fiction. I can't like put a book in my hand and read fiction because
Yeah.
when I am reading, I want to be informed, not entertained. That's why I read is to be informed. Um,
Uh-huh.
so like I'll read nonfiction all day. Like right now I'm reading Tom
Mhm.
Ryan, the head coach at Ohio State's book, and then I'm reading David Goggins' second book. And like I could read those books, you know, if I have time, I'm reading. But as far as fiction goes, like we have movies. I don't really want to read to be entertained. So what I've been doing is I've been waking up early and working, and then I'll just put like my like because early in the morning, like 5, 6 in the morning, nobody wants to talk for Uber. So I'll just put my left headphone in and just listen to the book. And that seems to get me through my day without killing myself.
Yeah, yeah. I get it. Hey, yeah, no, reading's hard for you, so it's like a work thing for you.
What did I
You know,
just say? What the hell did I just I literally
like, this is
just
not for entertainment. This is studious, and
I literally just freaking
I'm
said,
hardcore.
oh my
I keep you
gosh.
wasting time with these shenanigans.
Oh my
God,
gosh.
I can't believe J.R.R. Tolkien just completely wasted his time writing fiction. Can he
Dude, he
write
wrote
something
a whole
more?
language. He wrote like
Can he just
multiple
written
languages.
something that was beneficial for the world, like how to increase your VO2 max? I mean, come on, how to make some money?
Yeah,
Jeez.
right. I think he made quite a bit of money for The Hobbit, but
Did he?
I don't think he died a poor guy. I don't think he was like, I don't think his son Christopher was like, well, I would rewrite your works, Dad, but we don't have any money. Because you know his son
Yeah,
Christopher like took on some of the older book, like the backstory books
trying to
from
fill
his
in the
notes.
gaps and stuff.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like because J.R. Tolkien wrote The Hobbit, wrote The Lord of the Rings, and then I think he wrote like some side stories. Like so his goal was to kind of like well he was a Catholic, he was a Christian. And so his like thing was like kind of like I think he took like a Christian angle, like where it's revelation over time. So like kind of like from the Bible, like you get like a story, but you get like revealed like who God is and his character over time, like over the course. And then you start to like unpack these pieces, like who is this snake? Like why do they have to leave the garden? What does this prophecy mean? And so I think Tolkien, like maybe indirectly or directly, did that. Like so he started with The Hobbit, which was like one little short, obscure story. And you're like, what does this have to do with anything? And then he wrote The Lord of the Rings. And then I don't know which ones he wrote, but I know his son finished the Silmarillion, which is like the Old Testament, like the creation story and like the build up to the Lord of the Rings. But then there's like all these other side stories, and like it kind of reveals like some of these things that are mentioned in the Lord of the Rings that are mentioned in the Hobbit, but they're not like fully revealed. Like who Sauron actually is, like isn't completely expanded upon until you get to like the Silmarillion and some of these other books. Like you find out that he had a master that was like the original Dark Lord, which is like the Satan figure in Tolkien's universe.
Yeah. You and I talked about that before. Yeah, him trying to. I think he was some sort of professor, and he was so enamored with like mythology and stuff, he wanted to create his own, and
Yeah.
that's part of what he was doing there. Uh, yeah,
Did
stuff's
you
dope.
did you know that Tolkien is actually the one that brought C.S. Lewis to Christ? Have you heard that story? Have I told you that? Or
Is
did you
there?
know that?
Did they make a movie with them?
I don't know if Tolkien or if C.S. Lewis was in it. They made a movie called Tolkien,
I
and
mean, I think there's a movie. I don't know who. I know
it was like kid
it's like
like something Holt.
yeah, it's like some. I think it's a movie. There's a movie that came out. I want to say it's like a conversation. It's supposed to be. Obviously, they're actors. The conversation between C.S. Lewis and somebody else, some other profound author or thinker or something like that. And
Look, I'm looking it up right
yeah,
now. But that's just kind of crazy. So C.S. Lewis started as like, is it the most reluctant convert?
maybe I don't know.
C.S. Lewis's journey from hard-boiled atheist to most reluctant convert in all England. Max McLean's performance brings Lewis's story of grief, loss, and redemption to life on screen. But I don't know. Huh, that's interesting. I haven't seen this movie. I
The
wonder
one
if
I'm thinking
J.R.
of,
Tolkien's in it. I have to look that up. Huh. I bet he is. Let me look this up. Is J.R.R. Tolkien in the most reluctant convert? Beautifully filmed, and it's around Oxford. This engaging biopic follows the creator of the Chronicles of Narnia from tragic death of his mother when he was just 9 years old through his.
well,
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure.
yeah,
Well, but what from what I understand is Tolkien was the one that like brought him to Bible studies and would answer his questions and would stay up late and like have those conversations. You know, kind of like what I did with you, you know, where you were like so reluctant to be a Christian and then I would always be like, "Gus, let me tell you about the
trying
way."
to find a way. Let me show you the truth.
Why did we become Brazilian all of a sudden?
I don't know why you were Italian in that, but
Yeah, okay, I'm Brazilian, Italian, I don't know.
I feel like that's your spirit animal,
Bada
Italian.
bing. Or it's like they say in jujitsu, os. I don't know what that means. I need to ask my, whoa, look at that gut.
Dude, yeah, look at this guy, dude. So cool.
Oh, I said gut. Is that your girl?
Yeah.
Hi, Makai.
Christian says hi. She says hi.
Michelle said
They
hi
say
to
hi.
you as well.
Is she? Hi, Michelle.
She's not here, jerk.
Oh, she's not here. Oh.
What a jump to conclusions. Gosh, alone.
Dude, I like your little setup, man. It looks almost professional. It doesn't look like a 14-year-old setup at all.
You got any current events that you want to bring up?
I think there was one. Hmm.
Trump?
No. Was it?
Is it abortion?
No. No, I guess my current events are like different than most. I'm like, oh, they made changes to the TCCC guidelines. The trauma to the tactical combat casualty care guidelines. And I'm like, what? Oh, whoa.
I
What
don't
does this
even know.
mean? What does this mean for LISCO environment? Large scale
my
combat
gosh.
operation? I don't know.
You want to talk about politics? Where do you want to go with this conversation? Politics,
I don't
religion?
know. I guess. Huh?
Put your knees down, please.
Oh yeah. It's a little weird for you. I know. My legs are bigger than yours.
Just dick just pops up.
Yeah,
What the hell is going on? Remember that one time when we were doing the podcast and your grandpa was just in the background changing his underwear?
Oh, that was awesome. I forgot about that. That's hilarious.
That's like my all-time favorite podcast moment ever. It's just like Gus's 95-year-old grandpa just changing his pants in the background of
Dude, all my friends that have like met him and interacted with him, they're just like, dude, that guy's awesome. Yeah.
Oh man. Rest in
R.I.P.
peace, bro. Rest in peace, man.
R.I.P.
Good guy.
Yeah, what a great guy. What a unit. What a unit. He'd be like 90 years old building a porch and a deck.
Was
with
he pretty
bare
active
hands.
was he pretty active up until he died?
Pretty much. He just grew up doing things. You know,
Yeah.
it was different back then. He just
I
he
feel
was
like that's the way to
I'm
go.
90 years old. This is what I do. I got a hammer and nails and build some stuff. You know? I'm like,
Yeah.
right on.
Now, are you
They don't
still
make 'em like
reading?
that.
Are you still? Yeah, no, they don't. Are you still reading about transcendentalism?
No?
Transcendentalism?
Dude, no. So I feel like
What
a
is
nerd reading about it. Huh?
What is transcendentalism for those that the audience, not me,
Dude,
obviously?
I
I know
haven't
what
read
it means.
about it in forever. I go on like weird little kicks. I'll get introduced to some sort of idea or whatever, and then I'll go down rabbit holes of it. And then some I remember, some I don't. That was like years ago. But if you're into it, it's got like key figures like the ones I can think of off the top of my head, Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. They were spiritual people, they were Christian, and they had a different relationship, I think, with like nature than your traditional Puritan back then. You know, as some people thinking of like nature to be like conquered and stuff, theirs and subdued. Theirs is like more of thinking of nature as like its own cathedral, and then a bunch of other stuff too. It was a whole movement in the 1800s in America, in the late 1800s.
Was it kind of a mixture of like Christian values, but also integrated into the like native culture? Is that kind of where it sparked?
Yeah. Again, I would only scratch the surface of it. I only read like one little book about it. And some of their, I wouldn't want to say exploits, but some of their, like Henry David Thoreau, he was known for his thing of like civil disobedience, and
Yeah.
he influenced key figures in like a lot of activists later on, like Martin Luther King. You know, has said it was influenced by him and
Yeah.
everything. And
I was just about to say more.
yeah,
Dr.
yeah,
King.
yeah. It's interesting stuff. Very cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just like perspectives and ideas. You know, I'm reading this book right now. Familiar with it? Maps of Meaning. And
Maps. Oh, by Jordan Peterson.
yeah, dude, it's heavy. It's very heavy. It's heavy and heady.
Yeah, his writing is really. Did my screen just get worse? Is that what just happened? His writing is really hard to understand. Like it's like when I was reading 12 Rules for Life, which is an amazing book, by the way. Like even if you don't read the book, if you just know the 12 rules, like it's a really good read. I would probably go back and read it again at some point, just because Jordan Peterson is he's so much smarter than us. Like it really is pretty clear. Like we're just like ants, and he's a genius. And I really don't understand why he's controversial. Like he hasn't said anything to where I'm like, okay, Jordan, like he's of all the conservative thinkers in the world. And I wouldn't even say he would consider himself a conservative thinker. I think he would just say, I'm just a thinker. I just look at the world how it is and I take truth for what it is. But of all the ones in the world, and we've talked about this, that are out there speaking, he's the best. I think he's the best. And I think he's the easiest person to talk to because of that. He's not going to like try to shut you down like Candace Owens or like even Ben Shapiro, his boss, or Steven Crowder is one of the big ones. Like he cares more about your heart and where you're at, and then intersecting like where he's at, you know, and like what he thinks is true. And I think a lot of that just comes from his, you know, psychology background.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, you cut out. Shoot. Gus.
Right. It took like about 50 pages to get used to the way that the language he was using, if that makes sense. Obviously, it's English, right? But just the way that he came off on the paper.
So
But he goes into a lot of,
you cut out a little bit there.
oh yeah.
Yeah, go back like 15 seconds.
Oh, it took me like 50 pages to get used to what he was to get familiar with, like how he talked in the book, if that makes
Mm,
sense.
yeah.
You know, uh, kind of like how like reading Tolkien, uh, it takes about 50 pages to kind of get into and see the world that he's building.
Yeah.
But then once you're kind of familiar with the concepts that he builds on and stuff, you're able to take off. And he goes into explaining how things like mythology come about. And
Yeah.
it's very interesting. It's like using really crazy concepts like phenomenology. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one, but
Mm-mm.
I'm too dumb to explain it.
Yeah.
But it's like, how would you like like how do we know a chair is a chair, you know, and not just um like some composition of like this couch that I'm sitting on. How do I distinguish it as something to sit on, rather than just some random pieces of material and
Mm,
cloth? Like, how does my brain put all these things together at once? You know what I'm saying? Like how we
mm.
find utility in something, if that makes sense. All these patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm totally not even scratching the surface of it, but it's stuff like that.
Well,
Yeah, which you're like, oh, this is a lot.
yeah. You know what I was thinking about the other day is like, what about, the way I was thinking about it was like, um, what's it called when you, is it, uh, like when you take something apart to figure out how it works?
Yeah, is it deconstructivism or
No,
there's a
there's a different word for it.
I know I can't think of it
It's
either.
like not cross examination, but anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. But there's a word for like taking something apart to figure out how it works. Like people will do that with
Mhm.
technology. Like they'll break it apart and look at each individual piece and then put it back together the way they found it to try to see like, okay, what do these do?
Oh, and the word I was thinking of, we're probably thinking of something different, but I was thinking of reductionist.
Mm,
If you can reduce things down to its base elements and composition rather than like what we see it as.
yeah, no, that's not what I was thinking about. But I think I was thinking about this the other day, like the idea of like in 100,000 years and like people have evolved past using a chair, right? You're just talking about a couch, like something so simple. Like if we lose our way, you know, we've done this now, like we've lost our way with like nature, right? Like if the world shuts down, if you know everybody's talking about a cyber attack, if things go down, like very few people are going to be able to sustain themselves, and it's going to be chaotic because we've put our dependence in our life in these devices. And the same kind of goes with like technology, where the more we evolve, the simpler things become like obsolete and we almost forget how to use them. So like, for example, like if we evolve to the point where we no longer have to sit or like we no longer have to have physical bodies, which I don't think will happen until Jesus comes back. But let's say we do, like kind of in the movie Interstellar, we could walk by a chair and not know what that is and think it's the most complex thing in the world. You know, it's like almost like you're upgrading, but you're like degrading at the same time, if that makes sense. I was thinking about this the other day because like we don't know how the pyramids were made. We know that we could make them now, but we don't know how they were made then. And it's like this, it could be just something so simple, but because when we were like building the technology or the mathematics, instead of going this way, we went this way. And it's like if somebody were to explain it to us, like we'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so simple. But we don't understand it because it's like we've evolved so far down the road that we can't do it back here, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, dude, that makes sense. I mean, I think a lot of people think about like things have become so convenient nowadays that we
Mm.
lose our basic like just survival skills or just skills in general. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, one that's not too relevant. I think it's funny that my grandma was like, nobody knows how to use a checkbook nowadays. I'm like, grandma, I don't think I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but
Yeah. Right.
like, I'm talking about like, some people don't know how to go find some real food,
Yeah.
grow some real food, all those kind of things. How to get where's the fresh water, all
Right.
that kind of stuff. I was I feel like a nerd saying this, but you're familiar with that book Sapiens?
No.
It's like a big time bestseller.
We
So like
just
most
discussed
people.
I don't read. Can't read.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot. Yeah.
I'm retarded.
But he was talking about like people before like societies and stuff. They were probably a lot smarter than we give them credit for because they were like the jack of all trades. They had to learn how to like do everyday survival, and they probably knew their little territory like really, really, really well. If that makes sense. So if they lived in
Yeah.
one like type of environment, they can. If you see this in some of the people that live in like hunter gatherer tribes
Yes.
today, they're
Yes.
really proficient at what they do when it
Yes.
comes to hunting and the land and stuff that we wouldn't even think about as modern
Right.
folk. We're like,
Right.
oh, you got this connection with nature to us is like surreal and kind of puts us in awe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was watching a Western the other day and they were kind of like, they had like an Indian tracker and they were going cross country, like across um, and I don't know how accurate this is because if you stay in your little area, but like they knew the United States, like they knew the state that they were in, like they knew, like I can't go down the street without having to figure out directions with a GPS. But somehow, like somebody
Yeah.
that doesn't have a full map, and again, like I don't know how true this is, but like they didn't make it over here not knowing where they were going once they had maps written out. Like so, the fact that they could figure this out, and the fact that like Indians like could follow the buffalo and knew where they were going, and they knew like other tribes and like where they were at. Like to me, it seems like looking back on it, like if you left home, like that was it. Like you're not coming back. Like if you went within like 10 miles of where you lived, it seems to me like I would not be able to find my way back home, but they could go hundreds of miles and be able to come back. It's weird. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
dude. You think about people like navigating through the stars, and they just knew, and they knew like that the stars were in different spots at different times of the year, and they were able
Yes.
to track things so accurately. I mean, people know the mines were famous for it, being able
Yeah.
to have a calendar super far out, and just being able to navigate through the stars. Me, I'm like, yeah, I need my GPS just to go down the street.
Yeah.
We think that we're
Yeah.
smarter now.
Yeah. I think there is a trade-off because we only have so long. We only have so much that we can learn. We only have so much we can retain.
You
And
only have so much bandwidth, you know.
yeah, and it's like you don't have you don't have necessity for those skills.
Yeah, necessity. Yeah, that's a good way of
Weird.
looking at it. That's the way I think about it nowadays. I was telling you, I feel like I can only be informed on so many different things and be
Right.
good at so many different things.
Right.
Like it sucks if you're interested in a lot of things, you have to settle down on some stuff in order to get really good at anything. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
like for me, as of right now, my craft is being good at medicine and stuff
Right.
at this current level that I am, and that takes one to just stay on top of it takes time and energy, and then to try to progress takes even more time and energy,
Yeah.
and then trying to be get better at just basic soldiering skills takes time in that. And then I've got other stuff, I like to I like to get into the scripture a lot. That takes a lot of my bandwidth,
Yeah.
but it's something I really enjoy. But within those like three things, and then trying to have spend time with the people that I love and cultivate those things, man, I don't have a whole lot of time for everything else in order to get really good at those things.
Yeah. I think, yeah, because I think about that too. I'm like, man, do I spend too much time like focusing on stuff like this or, like like in my wrestling channel or whatever? Like, do I spend too much time on that? Because I gotta work, I gotta, train, I gotta be a family man. Like, am I spending too much time on certain things? And I think a lot of it comes down to like how you block out your day. Like I'm kind of setting a new schedule now where like I work in the mornings, I train right after work. So like from 5 to 10, I work. From 10 to noon, I train. And then I might do something like that's like my hard training. And then I'll probably do something later on in the afternoon. And then like the rest of the day is spent, either editing or hanging out with Michelle. And so like it really like I have to have those blocks, but like I feel chaotic when I have to go, like when I wake up at like 10 o'clock, it's like, oh, I got to go train. And then it's like, oh, I got to go work. Oh, I got to do this. And then, you end up going to bed at like midnight and then you do it all over again. But when it's like blocked out like that, like where it's like these 4 hours of the day are spent working or 5 hours or whatever it is for that day. And then these 2.5 to 3 hours are spent training. And then these X amount of hours are like whatever I need to do, I don't know.
Yeah, I think most people agree that having a schedule is a good thing.
Yeah.
Having a consistent schedule is a good thing. I sounds cliche, but I typically feel more productive if I wake up early, and I 90% of the time I have no choice.
Yeah.
Gotta be up early and and do stuff, but it's cool. Like for me, I'm able to get my workout in just about first thing in the morning because I have to.
Right.
And then and I'll have like little gaps sometimes that my job provides me, and I'll try to either fill those in with wasting the time or using it productively. But like you're saying, like listen to something. So if I'm driving to and fro, I usually the two podcasts that I listen to now pretty much for the majority is either Bible Project podcast or Prolonged Field Care podcast, which is basically like a military medicine.
Okay.
Yes. So, and I'm like, okay, hey, I'm driving 20 minutes down the road this way or whatever. So that's like half the podcast there, and then half the podcast on the way back. And so I just got good information from some good, solid, reputable sources.
Yeah. Yeah. A question. Next week, do you want to recap the NCAAs?
Sure. If I watch them.
That's funny. That's funny. Question. Are you, dude, Carl's coming in to Vegas next weekend.
Is he really?
Yeah, you should try to come out.
There's probably a 0% chance that I could, but I might inquire.
You should inquire, bro. He's flying in Friday.
I'm going to Arkansas in May 18th.
You stay at our place. You stay at my place if you need to.
Yeah. Not the penthouse.
I mean, we have a 1-bedroom and then there's like nothing else. We have a living room that we could put a bed in. It's your bed though.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to do it, man. I gotta.
I'm gonna have to hang out with Carl the whole time.
Yeah, I know. By yourself, that blows.
Yeah. All right. Let me tell you a real quick story before I get off here.
Okay. And?
Next week. No, I'm telling you the story. I got to pull this text up from this person. So I'm reluctant to give it his name. I want to, but because this is just such a piece of crap move. But so we got about 4.5 minutes left. And so, okay. So just to give you perspective, I had a physical therapist on my neck because I have stenosis in my neck. And right now I'm feeling it. Every time I podcast, I feel it. And it really bothers me. It like just flares up all of a sudden for no reason. Like it hasn't been bothering me all day. And then whenever I podcast, it flares up. I don't know if there's some kind of stress. But anyway, so I had a physical therapist. My last appointment was in July. And I haven't had an appointment since. Tried to reach out to the guy twice. Couldn't get a hold of him. Hey, so-and-so, do you have any openings tomorrow for therapy or Monday morning? Nothing. And then, hey, so-and-so, I'm fighting Saturday. I was wondering if you had anything available. So this is 2 separate occasions between November and January. And the guy doesn't respond, nothing. So I have Michelle reach out. Michelle reaches out and they're like, oh, your husband's no longer allowed. He's not permitted to be here. Cause I made an appointment and they canceled my appointment, but they said I canceled it. And I was like, I didn't cancel it. And so they're like, no, he no-called, no-showed his last appointment. I'm like, I didn't no-call, no-show. So she reaches out again and I'm like, hey, I've got this text that says I can reschedule all this stuff from the therapist. And Nothing. So the therapist texted me. So apparently, so to give you a little backstory, I did have a no call, no show. We booked an appointment about 3 weeks to 4 weeks out. I didn't get a reminder, like a text message reminder. I did have an email that I saw that said, "Hey, your appointment's tomorrow." I was working, I missed it. Never heard from him. I ghosted me, all that stuff. Right. So, I mean, you miss an appointment, you think like, hey, you get a text message that says, hey, is everything okay? Like, just making sure that everything's okay. And then if you have a no call, no show policy, you explain that then, like, hey, we have no call, no show policy, yada, yada, yada. Right. Like if you miss a doctor's appointment, they're not going to be mean to you. So this is the message he sends me. It says, Christian, you obviously do not understand. I'm not interested in seeing you as a client. I have a strict policy on not seeing no call, no shows that I will not be pressured into changing. Your inability to comprehend this speaks to the fact that you have a lot to learn. You're straight up harassing me now. I'm asking you nicely to stop making contact with my answering service or calling my cell. I'm blocking you after this correspondence. Thanks. And it's like, bro, I thought we were friends. Like you were like a very kind person and like cool. And when I get something like that, I'm like, first of all, why didn't you say that to my face? Probably because I would have kicked you in the head. And second of all, like what a fake human being.
Yeah, it sounds like a dick.
Yeah, like such a dick.
Yeah, 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 dude. Yeah, those kind of things, bro. When something like that happens, it's a learning experience, because it's like, whoa, you were just not a very good human being there. You were a mean person,
Yeah.
and that didn't make me feel very good at all. Like, and you knew you were being mean,
Yeah.
and for me, when I have those experiences, I'm like, I'm like, man, have I made other people feel this way?
Yeah. I thought about that too. I was like, have I ever done this to somebody else? And like now
Because
they
it's
have a
like,
perception of me.
yeah, they try to make you feel like this big,
Yeah.
and you're like, man, I know I've made somebody feel like that before, and you're like, oh, I've been, yeah, bro, that's
My
that's that's piss poor.
it's crazy because like I don't know. And we got like a minute left before we're gonna get cut out. But my thing is like you didn't say it to my face. And my policy is I won't say anything like over text or over a comment that I wouldn't say to someone's face. Now, the luxury of it is I'm not really worried about retaliation from a lot of people. But then again, it's like I still don't make a habit of like going out of my way to be mean over text or like if I am going to say something like that, I'll call, but I would be kind. I don't know. That just to me, that just like it's like well, there was no point in that. I didn't do anything to harass you. My 5'3" Mexican wife called you, who's like the sweetest girl in the world, and you're saying I'm harassing. Like you were a former cop, you should know what harassment is. Like that's not going to pass the legal definition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy was a former police officer. It's just crazy. And then I was like, well, I'm going to leave a Yelp review. Obviously, no Yelp. Obviously, no Google. So obviously, he does this quite a bit, and he's a scumbag. So I just thought I'd get it off my. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess
that's what happened. And I was looking back on it. I was like, did I do anything wrong? Did I say something like that this guy didn't like? Like, I don't understand what elicited this response. And I mean, the only thing I can think of is that we like talked about political stuff, but it seemed like we were in alignment, But maybe maybe he either didn't like what I said or really just is kind of like a scummy, I mean, either way, but really just, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, yeah, those interactions, those are weird. Makes you just, yeah. I mean, dude, it sounds, call what you want, bro, but it hurts your feelings.
Oh yeah,
That would hurt mine. You're like, oh
it
man,
did.
what? Yeah,
It,
and
yeah. What it did is it made me feel uncomfortable.
yeah,
Like, because it made me feel like I did it. It's almost like when you gaslight somebody and you make them feel like they're the problem. Like it made me feel like I did something wrong, like when
right,
you,
right,
like I'm sure you've had this, but like you have like something set up with someone and like you're there or whatever, and then they're like, oh hey, are you almost ready? Like they'll send you a text like confirming at a certain time, and then like at the wrong time it's like, oh hey, are you almost ready? And they're like, what are you talking about? Oh, we have an appointment scheduled. And for that moment you're like, oh my gosh, like did I do something wrong? And like the whole time you're thinking like, did I mess up? Like what is going on? Like that's how I felt. Was like there was some kind of like miscommunication that like on my part, and I felt scummy, You know, like if somebody says
Mm,
like, almost like if somebody came and was like, "You're kind of creepy," like that would like
yeah.
hurt my feelings more than if somebody said I was like an effing piece of crap. You know?
Yeah. It's, oh, dude, it's those things that like, it's like that small knife, that really precise one that sometimes that
Yeah,
hurts the worst. And you, cause it's like, cause it makes you think like, is there any validity to what they're talking about? Yeah. Cause if you're
yeah,
saying like, someone says something like, oh, well, that's obviously outrageous. Why would I worry about that? Right. But if someone's like,
right.
oh man, that one stung a little bit. Maybe because is he true? Was he right at all? You know, I'll think about stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it gets me. Like
Oh.
if somebody said like, yeah, or like, oh, this is another one. Like, you're really annoying. That would bother
Mhm.
me. Like if somebody said you're really annoying, like not little things like you're an
Oh
a-hole.
yeah.
It's like you're really
Yeah.
annoying.
Mm.
Like, what? How am I annoying?
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
remember, dude. I remember. I can remember times like that, like when I was in middle school,
Yes.
like hanging around like my sister's friends or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it just makes you feel
You just feel
just
embarrassed.
yeah, yeah.
Feel like
Oh, yeah.
embarrassed and ashamed.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
weird. You know, it's not like you went, it's weird. It's different. Like if you went out, like if I went out drinking and like got, what the heck?
Mm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You
Oh,
hear
okay.
me?
Yeah. Sorry. My thing exited out. But like if I went out drinking, got drunk and like made a fool of myself, and people are like, dude, you were acting like an idiot last night. I'd be like, I mean, this would never happen. It's never happened, but I'd be like, ah, dang. I feel kind of like an idiot. But if somebody said, like, you make me feel really uncomfortable, I'd be like,
Mm.
oh, ugh,
Yeah. It's those subtle things. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, on the flip side of that, with communication with people that you actually care about, like if you're not
yeah,
trying to put them down, but you can be like, hey, like with a situation like that, like, you know, using wordage like that, it's like, hey, you make me really uncomfortable when you're in that state, you
yeah,
know, and that can make them feel so much. That could be so much more impactful, make them feel so much different about that rather than,
yeah,
oh, you scumbag, this and that, and then they're just like,
right,
oh man, maybe I
right.
really should take a harder look at myself in the mirror,
Yeah.
you know?
I feel like it's harder to get defensive with something like that. And so it's like
Yeah.
because what I think of when people like say those things like, oh, you're a racist or oh, you're a piece of crap or whatever it is, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, buddy. Like, why don't you say that to my face? But if somebody says like, you make me feel uncomfortable, it's like, oh shoot. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's weird. It's almost like there's no way to put this on them. Even if it is 100% like their misconception, there's no way to put this on them.
Yeah, and I think that's sometimes what it gets lost in the fog whenever you're having any sort of confrontation with anybody, whether it's
Yeah.
somebody that you love or if it's a stranger. I think a lot of those misinterpreted feelings and they get lost in the fog, and I think that's what we see a lot of today, but I think probably since forever too.
Yeah.
A lot of if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, no, I think it does. It makes a lot of sense. But all right. Well, Gus, I love you, bro. I appreciate you coming on. I think I want to try to do this either weekly or bi-weekly. Not twice a week, but every other week.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's been awesome. Hey, your hair's looking good. I can tell you've been using the Rogaine, right? Use Rogaine.
I don't
Been
know. My
helping,
wife cut my hair, but
helping
I
a
have
little
been
bit.
using Rogaine.
Yeah, it's not
So
bad. Helping out. I know. Hey, some of us need help, right?
I know
It's okay to ask.
we can't all have perfect hair forever.
Yeah,
So,
can't all
have
have
you
the swell.
speaking of perfect hair, have you ever seen that SNL where it's The Rock and it's like a hair transplant and they transplant it from his pubes to his head? So he's like,
No, I didn't see that
it's
one.
like all these people, all these dudes like have just this curly ass hair. It's The Rock with like this curly bush on his head. He's like, I got the hair transplant too.
Oh, dude, that's funny. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
It's so stupid. It's just like it's clearly like pubes. Like that's the thing that's why it's so funny.
Yeah,
But all right, well, enough talk about pubes. I'm gonna get
well,
off
this has
here.
been fun. Yeah,
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 you're like, all right, I'm gonna
it's great.
go.
All
Hey,
right,
you
dude.
made me feel really uncomfortable just now.
Oh, yeah. That was good. That's good.
All right,
glad.
bro. I'll see you.